The Untold Truth of Emmylou Harris. Emmylou Harris is one of the most respected and influential figures in American music, particularly in the genres of country, folk, and Americana. Born on April 2, 1947, in Birmingham, Alabama, Harris was raised in a musically inclined family, where her love for music began at an early age. From her childhood days of listening to the sounds of classic country and folk music to becoming an iconic voice in her own right, Harris' journey has been marked by both remarkable achievements and deep personal passion for storytelling through song. Harris grew up in a household that encouraged creativity, where her father, a military officer, and her mother, an artist, supported her budding interest in music. Harris' early exposure to music was rooted in her appreciation for a wide range of genres, from classical to folk, but it was the sounds of country and bluegrass that truly captured her heart. The music of artists like Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, and the Louvin brothers shaped her early musical sensibilities. During her teenage years, Harris began learning to play the guitar, and by the time she was in her late teens, she was performing in local clubs and coffeehouses, honing her vocal and musical skills. In the 1960s, Harris moved to Washington, D.C., where she attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It was during her time in the D.C. area that she began to get involved in the local music scene. After completing her studies, Harris moved to New York City in the early 1970s, where she would soon become part of the growing country and folk music revival. Harris' early musical influences were broad, drawn from the sounds of folk, gospel, and country music that permeated the cultural landscape of the South during her formative years. After moving to Washington, D.C., in the mid-1960s, she began performing in local clubs, gaining a reputation for her folk and bluegrass-inspired performances. However, it wasn't until she moved to Nashville in 1971 that her career truly took off. With her debut album Gliding Bird, 1970, showcasing her strong vocal talent, Harris' big break came when she joined the legendary Graham Parsons as part of his band, The Fallen Angels. Their collaboration on Grievous Angel, 1974, became a defining moment in the history of country rock music, blending the sounds of traditional country with the new, more experimental edges of rock music. It was this fusion of genres that set Harris apart from her peers and helped cement her as an innovator in the American music scene. After his death, Harris embarked on a solo career that saw her become a household name. Her 1975 album Pieces of the Sky was a major success, featuring songs that blended country, folk, and bluegrass elements. Among the standout tracks was If I Could Only Win Your Love, which showcased Harris' ability to deliver emotionally poignant lyrics with great skill. With each successive album, Harris' reputation as a gifted singer-songwriter continued to grow, as she crafted music that transcended genre boundaries. Throughout her career, Harris also formed collaborative relationships with some of the greatest names in the music industry, including Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, and Linda Ronstadt. The trio's collaboration on the album Trio in 1987 became a milestone in country and Americana music, cementing Harris' role in the genre's evolution. This was a reflection of Harris' commitment to preserving and expanding the traditions of country music while also incorporating contemporary influences. Emmylou Harris' voice is widely celebrated for its pure, crystalline quality, and her ability to evoke a deep emotional response from listeners. Her lyrical themes often center on love, heartbreak, and the human condition, weaving complex emotions into simple yet powerful melodies. It is this authenticity that has allowed Harris to connect with fans from all walks of life. From heartbreaking ballads like Boulder to Birmingham, a tribute to Graham Parsons, to the uplifting One of These Days, Harris' music offers an intimate and honest look into the human experience. Her dedication to her craft is reflected in the richness and depth of her performances, which have been consistently praised by both critics and fans alike. In addition to her vocal prowess, Harris is also a highly respected songwriter. Throughout her career, she has written many songs that have become staples of the Americana and country music lexicon. Songs such as My Name is Emmylou and Two More Bottles of Wine reflect her wit, her keen observations of life, and her ability to capture a story with few words. In addition to her musical success, Harris has been an advocate for social justice and humanitarian causes. She has long been involved in charitable efforts, particularly those related to environmental conservation, animal rights, and women's empowerment. Harris' activism began in the 1980s when she became involved in the Farm Aid benefit concerts, which aimed to support struggling family farms in America. Over the years, she has used her platform to raise awareness about a variety of causes, including the importance of supporting local farmers, combating climate change, and advocating for the preservation of natural landscapes. One of the most notable causes Harris supports is the benefit of children who are at risk due to issues such as hunger and poverty. Her charitable work has helped to raise significant funds for organizations such as the Red Cross, Save the Children, and the Nashville Food Project. Emmylou Harris, the acclaimed singer-songwriter, has experienced a tumultuous personal life that includes 3 marriages and 3 divorces. Despite these challenges, she has maintained a sense of humor and perspective about her relationships, referring to herself as a really good ex-wife. This self-assessment hints at her ability to maintain amicable relationships with her former spouses, despite the difficulties that often accompany divorce. Her candid reflections on her marital history reveal a woman who has weathered emotional storms while continuing to pursue her career with remarkable resilience. Harris' first marriage took place in 1969 when she was living in New York City's Greenwich Village, a vibrant hub for the folk music scene at the time. It was in this creatively charged environment that she met fellow folk artist Tom Slocum. Their connection quickly blossomed, and the couple married later that same year. This period in Harris' life was significant not only for her personal milestones but also for her artistic development, as she was deeply immersed in the world of folk music, collaborating and performing alongside other aspiring artists. In 1970, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter named Hallie, marking a new chapter in Harris' life as a mother. However, the pressures of marriage and parenthood, combined with the challenges of a burgeoning music career, soon took their toll, and the couple divorced in 1971, just 2 years after their wedding. As Harris navigated the early years of her career, she faced the difficult task of balancing her responsibilities as a single mother with the demands of life on the road. Hallie often accompanied her mother on tour, providing some semblance of normalcy amid the chaos of life as a traveling musician. However, Harris soon realized that the nomadic lifestyle of a performer was not conducive to raising a child full-time. Hallie spent much of her childhood living with Harris' parents in Maryland, where she could enjoy the stability that Harris could not always provide. Reflecting on this decision, Harris later commented, "I don't think the road is good for kids. Once in a while it's fun, like a trip to Disneyland. But not as a way of life." This acknowledgement reflects Harris' deep maternal instincts and her awareness of the sacrifices required by her chosen profession. In 1977, Harris married her second husband, Brian Ahern, a successful music producer who had worked with artists such as Anne Murray and Johnny Cash. The couple tied the knot at Ahern's home in Halifax, Nova Scotia, in a private ceremony that symbolized their shared commitment to both their personal lives and their musical partnership. Ahern produced many of Harris' albums during their marriage, helping to shape the signature sound that would define her career. The couple settled in the Studio City neighborhood of Los Angeles, California, where they built a life together amidst the glitz and glamour of the music industry. 2 years after their marriage, in 1979, Harris gave birth to her second daughter, Megan, adding another dimension to her role as a mother. Despite the initial happiness that Harris and Ahern shared, their marriage eventually began to unravel, and they divorced in 1984. After their split, Harris made the decision to relocate to Nashville, Tennessee, a city known for its rich musical heritage and a fitting home for an artist of her stature. The move to Nashville marked a new phase in her life, both personally and professionally, as she sought to rebuild her life in the wake of her second failed marriage. In 1985, Harris married for the third time, this time to songwriter and record producer Paul Kennerly. The couple shared a mutual love of music, and for several years, they lived together in an older home near Nashville's famed Music Row, a hub for the country music industry. Their home was a sanctuary where Harris could focus on her family and her work, and their marriage appeared to be a harmonious one. However, like her previous marriages, this union also ended in divorce, and in 1993, Harris and Kennerly parted ways. While her romantic relationships may not have stood the test of time, Harris has found lasting joy in her role as a grandmother. Her granddaughter was born in 2009, and her grandson followed in 2012, bringing a new generation into her life. Harris has expressed great pride and affection for her grandchildren, who represent a source of happiness and continuity in her life. In addition to her musical and familial commitments, Harris is also known for her dedication to a vegetarian lifestyle, a choice she has maintained for many years. Her decision to become a vegetarian reflects her compassionate worldview and her concern for animal welfare, aligning with the values she holds dear. The losses in Harris' life have been profound, particularly the death of her father in 1993 following an aortic rupture. His passing left a deep emotional impact on Harris, who has spoken about the close bond they shared. After her father's death, Harris took on the responsibility of caring for her mother, who lived with her for over 2 decades. Their relationship was one of deep mutual respect and love, and Harris has often described her mother as her best friend. In a 2002 interview with CBS News, Harris reflected on their close relationship, noting, "She has an extraordinary gift of making a home without being intrusive." This period of caregiving was undoubtedly a significant chapter in Harris' life, as it required her to balance her career with her role as a devoted daughter.